Chapter 2. Always pay yourself first. Make sure you work for yourself or your family. What usually tends to happen is that our employer will pay us, then we use that money to pay other companies through bills or other expenses, and then we can save the rest, which usually is not much. In order to never be broke again, you must pay yourself first in the purchasing of assets before paying any other entity. Assets include stocks and paper assets, real estate properties that make monthly income, commodities like gold, silver, and oil, or building your own side business. The long-term goal is to have these assets pay for your monthly expenses so that you can keep more of the income that you make. But what if I pay myself first and I don't have enough to pay for my bills and other expenses? Well, that's when you have to get creative and figure out a way to pay for those expenses, or maybe find a way to spend less on expenses. Robert Kiyosaki has a wonderful saying in his book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, a book that I highly recommend, where he mentions that when put in a position where we must or we want to pay for something, we must avoid saying that we cannot afford it. Remember rule 1, broke is a mindset? We must instead ask ourselves, how can I afford it? Robert says that if you do not find a way to solve this problem, money will always remain a problem. What I want for you is to graduate towards better problems. I would rather have you struggle with having too much money than not having enough. And yes, having too much money is a problem. One of the issues with having too much money and paying yourself too much is that the government will want their cut. Later on, we will look at some legal ways to keep the government out of your pockets. The habit of paying yourself first will not be easy to establish at first. You've been conditioned to spend and pay big corporations first. Think about it. How many advertisements do you see a day that are simply telling you to buy this or buy that? However, once you do start paying yourself first, you'll begin to keep more of what you make. Now the question remains, where do you put this money that you are now paying yourself on a regular basis? Call to action. So in this chapter's call to action, you need to sit down and start tracking your income. Find out how much you make daily, weekly, and monthly. Once you know how much you make, determine what percentage you are comfortable with paying your future self. It can be 10, 20, 30, or even 80% of your income. It really depends on your situation. Once you have this percentage that you are committed to paying yourself, make it a habit to put this percentage away every time you get paid. In fact, you can even set up an appointment with your financial institution to automatically deduct this percentage from each paycheck or each time money goes into your account.